Hello, little story explorers, and welcome. Are you ready for a wonderful adventure today? Let's get cozy and dive into a story about a very special little duckling. Once upon a time, nestled beside a beautiful, quiet blue pond, there lived a family of ducks. Among them was a tiny yellow duckling named Dippy. Dippy was quite a bit smaller than all his brothers and sisters. He had the fluffiest yellow feathers and the brightest little eyes, but his feet were just a little bit clumsy. When he tried to walk, he would often trip and tumble, rolling like a little yellow ball. The other ducklings, who were bigger and faster, would sometimes tease him. "Quack, slow down, Dippy," they would shout, laughing as they waddled far ahead of him, leaving him behind. "You're always tripping over your own feet." Another would quack. Hearing this made Dippy's little heart feel sad. He would watch them play and wish he could keep up. But even though their words sometimes stung, Dippy had a secret strength inside him. He never, ever gave up. He was determined to become just as strong and fast as everyone else. So, every single morning, just as the sun began to peek over the horizon and paint the sky in shades of pink and orange, Dippy would start his training. He'd be the first one in the water, practicing his swimming. He would paddle his little feet as hard as he could, making tiny ripples that sparkled in the morning light. Then he would practice flapping his wings. Flap, flap, flap. He wasn't trying to fly just yet, but he wanted to make them strong. He'd watch the older ducks and try to copy how they stretched their wings wide. After his swim, he would get out of the pond and practice waddling. He would pick a flower at one end of the bank and a shiny pebble at the other, and he would waddle between them over and over again. At first, he stumbled a lot. He'd fall on his tummy with a soft little oof, but he would always get right back up, shake his fluffy tail, and try again. He believed in himself with all his might. One day he would quack softly to himself, "I'll be just as strong as them. I know I can do it." One lovely sunny afternoon, the pond was full of life. The frogs were croaking their lazy songs, and the dragonflies were dancing in the air. Dippy was practicing his swimming near the edge of the pond when something strange happened. A big, dark cloud, seemingly out of nowhere, drifted across the sky and covered the bright sun like a grey blanket. The warm, gentle breeze suddenly turned into a strong, chilly wind that made the reeds by the shore rustle and sway. The other ducklings, who had been playing a game of chase, felt the change in the air and quickly swam back towards Mama Duck. But just as the sky grew darker, Dippy heard a faint, tiny sound coming from near the tall reeds. It was a soft, trembling cry. "Help, quack, help me." Dippy's ears perked up. He swam a little closer, peering into the thick patch of reeds. Who could that be? The voice was familiar. "Help, I'm stuck," it cried again, a little louder this time. Dippy's heart skipped a beat. He recognized that voice. It was his little sister, Lulu. She was the youngest of them all, even smaller than Dippy. She must have wandered too far from the group while chasing a butterfly and gotten lost. Without a single moment of hesitation, all thoughts of being small or clumsy vanished from Dippy's mind. A wave of courage washed over him. He knew he had to help her. Dippy paddled with all his might, his little legs kicking furiously beneath the water. The wind was pushing against him, and the water splashed around him, trying to slow him down. His tiny wings, the ones he practiced flapping every morning, worked hard, helping him balance and push through the choppy water. He finally reached the spot where the cries were coming from. There was Lulu, her little feet completely stuck in the thick, gooey mud at the base of the reeds. She was flapping her wings in a panic, but the more she struggled, the deeper she seemed to sink. Tears were welling up in her little eyes. "Lulu, don't worry, I'm here." Dippy quacked, his voice full of confidence. He swam right up to her and assessed the situation. He tried pushing her from behind, but she was stuck fast. Then he had an idea. He swam to her side and gently took a corner of her wing in his beak. "Okay, Lulu," he said calmly. "When I say pull, you flap your wings as hard as you can. Ready?" Lulu nodded, her fear starting to fade now that her brave brother was with her. "Ready," she chirped. 1, 2, 3. Pull, Dippy instructed. He pulled with his beak, and Lulu flapped with all her strength. For a moment, nothing happened. Again, Dippy shouted over the wind. They tried again, pulling and flapping together. Slowly, with a soft squelching sound, one of Lulu's feet came free. Then the other. She was free from the mud. Just as Lulu paddled out from the reeds, shaking the mud from her feathers, Mama Duck arrived. She had been searching frantically for them. When she saw what had happened, her eyes filled with love and relief. She rushed over and wrapped both of her little ducklings in her big, warm, comforting wings, pulling them close. She looked down at Dippy, her heart swelling with pride. "Oh, my brave little Dippy," she said softly, her voice full of warmth. "You were so courageous." She nuzzled his head gently. "You see, being strong isn't about being the biggest or the fastest. True strength comes from having a kind and courageous heart. And you, my dear Dippy, have the biggest heart of all." The other ducklings who had followed Mama Duck had watched the whole thing from a distance. They paddled closer, their faces filled not with teasing smirks, but with surprise and admiration. They looked at Dippy in a whole new light. They saw how he hadn't hesitated, how he had been so brave and clever. They swam over, and one by one they nudged him gently with their beaks. "You were amazing, Dippy," one said. "You saved Lulu," another quacked. From that day forward, everything changed. Dippy was no longer just the smallest duckling, the one who tripped over his feet. He was Dippy the Brave. The other ducklings didn't laugh at him anymore. Instead, they asked him to lead their games and swim with them at the front of the line. They respected him and Dippy. He still practiced every morning, not because he felt he had to prove himself, but because he loved it. He loved the feeling of the cool water and the strength in his wings. And every time he swam past a calm spot on the pond and saw his reflection looking back at him, he didn't see a small, clumsy duckling. He saw a hero. He smiled, knowing that the greatest power of all is believing in yourself. It can help you shine brighter than you ever imagined. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful story adventure today. I hope you loved meeting the brave little Dippy. Remember to always be kind and courageous, just like him. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories. See you next time.